to call the Personnel and Animal Welfare Committee to order. Mr. Curran Price and myself are present, so we have a quorum. And without objection, we will put items, well, actually, we have a speaker on all items, so I guess we can't do any consent yet. So we will move to multiple item speakers. And this isn't working. So we will begin with Mr. Herman. I think you're the only one.
The only gentleman? How much time do I get, first of all?
You get 2 minutes for your multiple items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Fantastic. So you see, people of the welfare of city sidewalks, see, this morning, I should say, at the Department of Public Works, that census described how inadequate and the failure of the city to provide city sidewalks that are safe. What is your intention on that? I'll tell you what it is. It's 1919955, Health and Safety Code section of 4450 of the Government Code. Under Section 203 of the Disability Act, where you have discriminated grossly against people with disabilities because you're exempting a senior architect who is well needed to provide ramps and curbs with adequate standards of the 2010 for slope, rise, width, and determination of what is called a sidewalk. See, you can't just put an idiot or a moron like Englander to say, oh, well, just take this measurement and lay the cement. No, you need an engineer and an architect to follow the guidelines of the American Disability Act. Otherwise, you are discriminating against the population of people under Willits versus Los Angeles. Is this fucking mic on? Barden versus Sacramento.
Your microphone.
Thank you. So my point is, when at any time have you had any community impact statement from the Department of Disability? None submitted. Why is that? Why is that? I'll tell you why. Because you guys engage with lawsuits. You prefer to be sued by legal counsel. And I think under legal counsel on the Department of Disability, you should provide all attorneys.
Now you have 1 minute for general public comment.
I know, I'm on general public comment now, fool. I know where I'm at. You think I'm dumb? Do I look as dumb as you act? Do you see me put on a pony show for anybody other than state facts? That's why the attorneys who sue under the American Disability Act should sue under Section 55. Fees prevailing to the winning party, mandatory Section 55, Section ADA. That's what the American Disability should do to you morons in the city of Los Angeles for ineffectively putting $30 million of Willits versus Los Angeles into the infrastructure that makes it possible for Mr. Watkins to sweep the goddamn streets and make them safe. And this is not a threat. This is a 422, 42 U.S.C. 1983. Fuck you!
Mr. Herman, you're disrupting the meeting. If you interrupt again from the audience, we'll have to ask you to leave. Still doing it. Antonio Ramirez. And you also have 2 minutes on your items and 1 minute on public comment.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll take public comments first, if that's okay. Or?
Sure.
Thank you. Under general public comments, a couple of weeks ago, I bumped into Spindler on Temple and Spring. And as you already know, I am gang stalked. I've got people that are on me night and day, and that is torture. But you know what? Payback is a bitch. They're going to get theirs too. And having said that, my shopping cart that I bought at Ralph's, the wheel broke or the axle broke. And that's because of all the cracks that the goddamn gangbangers crack and chisel the streets every day. They do it for two reasons. One, because their homies and their families get to file bogus lawsuits against the city of Los Angeles. And two, then they get the department to hire more of their wetbacks and gangbanging homies into the positions because they're over glutton with so much damages on the streets and
Now you have
throughout.
2 minutes for your items.
Okay. And so having said that, again, so Spindler was there to witness the problem with my shopping cart, thanks to these gangbangers.
You're not on the subject.
Okay. That was public comments. That was
Your public comment
Is
time
over.
is over.
Over.
Now you're on your items.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 3. Here on the salaries, you mentioned the airport police captain, so I'm assured that you are talking about the airport. Now, it makes no mention on pilot salaries increases. God knows that they deserve an increase for living expenses and vacations and investment portfolios and all that. There's nothing mentioned of the pilots, and yet pilot priority, their safety is definitely a priority. So again, let us make sure that our pilots are well taken care of, especially in this time and age, because they're facing so many obstacles and challenges, and it is deeply stressful. And I'm sorry, I'm going to jump around to number 10. Please, ladies, if you're considering to enhance the current telephone system, I highly recommend you not contract with Verizon, AT&T, and Boost, because they are connected with the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA, whereby they can conduct wiretappings and listen to your private conversations 24/7. You have no privacy. And that was stated by a retired ex-FBI agent, Ted Gunderson, who was incidentally poisoned by his own. So, again, please do not contract with Verizon, AT&T, and Boost. They are all connected with the surveillance program. They know your every move and everything that you are saying privately in conversations. I threw my phones away. I now use a empty can, but that's what I'm telling you all. Please look up Ted Gunderson, retired ex-FBI agent, who admonishes us not to contract or get phones from Verizon, AT&T, and Boost. We have no privacy. God bless Donald Trump and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Mr. Gregory Kind. Gregory Kind, not here. Ms. Bangkok Bridget, not here, perhaps not existing. Kamala Bridge, not here. Tavish McGregor. Are you not under public comment? Not under, okay. Do you have a specific item that you wanted to be signed up under? Oh, okay, very good. Bill Watkins. And you'll have 1 minute for general public comment.
And then number 7, just the one, that's all I signed up for, 7 in general?
Yeah, I'll take that when it comes up.
Okay. Oh, I see. Sorry about that. General comment. Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Bill Watkins, resident, District 14. General comment. I was going to talk on health and health costs and how it makes animal services and its budget suffer. And I'll come back to that maybe with number 7. While I've been applauded by Mr. Herman behind me, I dream and I pray for conduct and decorum in city council meetings that contribute to the meetings and are attempting to be positive. I think that with City Council 12A rule, a member of the public addressing the council of committees shall not engage in any conduct which disrupts the orderly conduct of any council or committee meeting. There is leeway and a chance to go against bad language and personal attacks. Personal attacks should be personal, not public.
Thank you. We have one other speaker listed under general public comment, Sovlov. Yes.
Yes, thanks for having me again. I'm Sylvie Love. I'm Sovereign People Standing on the Ground. And I have, pertaining to the sidewalks, it's just ironic that I'm here and able to hear this because I'm just trying to find my way around through the system here. I've spent the last 8 months clearing up the area of Wilshire and Alvarado on the side of the 99-cent store. And it's like a difference in night and day. I get all day long, I get compliments. It's like a 24-hour operation for me. It's a relief for me going through a personal stress where I've have a lot of my personal items taken from me by a kind of what I call a cooker cup. And that relief valve for me doing for the community makes me feel good. So it's designed to build a stream of the people in the area, give them a breathing space. And on my sides is vendors fighting for the area because they lost some because they're supposedly not keeping it clean and where they were. And on the other
Thank
side
you.
is drug dealers and homeless
Sorry,
people.
your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more time, Mr. Gregory Kind. Not present. Okay, so let's take item number 1.
Item number 1, communication from the mayor relative to the exemption of 1 deputy general manager, Airports 1, and 1 deputy general manager, Airports 2, for Los Angeles World Airport pursuant to Charter Section 1001B.
Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
So, do you want to give us an introduction to this item?
So, good afternoon. I'm Paula Adams, Director of Administration for Los Angeles World Airports. We're here because we have presented to our Board of Airport Commissioners a recommended developer for the Landside Access Modernization Program, the Automated People Mover, at Los Angeles International Airport. We have obtained our board's approval and authorization to execute the early works agreement and allow the recommended developer to commence work prior to financial close in order to maintain the automated people mover project on its delivery schedule. As all of the LAMP projects progress rapidly, there is an immediate need to retool one of our earlier exempted positions to function as the assistant LAMP executive, as well as re-exempt one other vacant position that was filled by Mary Grady, who has retired. So it is critical at LAWA to have superior leadership in both of these executive roles, again, assistant LAMP executive and managing director of media and public relations. And LAWA does respectfully seek your support as we continue our efforts to recruit a talented leadership executive and support the transformation of LAX into a modern, state-of-the-art airport serving passengers, employees, and our neighbors.
Okay, I have one quick question. On the Managing Director of Media and Public Relations, I think it lists one of the possible criteria as having 3 years experience at management analyst level, chief management analyst level. Did we look at this as a promotional opportunity to promote from within, or did we only look outside?
We haven't looked yet. For the record, my name is Trevor Daly, and I oversee external affairs for the airport, and I oversee this department along with 4 other departments. And this position, we have not done a search, but anybody that's in the department would not have enough of the experience to move up. Those that, within the city family, we have looked at some of the people that would be able to apply, and there's no movement. It doesn't match up, salary-wise, and it would not be fitting for this position.
So in addition to that, we have a newly hired director of airports, community, and public relations. She's doing a fantastic job. However, she's newer to our organization. She's been with us for about a year.
Who is she? Excuse me.
Her name is Becca Doughton, and she is the manager within PR Media. So that the way we've been set up for the past 7 years is that we've had a managing director of PR Media, and that was Mary Grady. And then below that, we had a position that manages the team, and that was Nancy Castles. Nancy Castles retired, and then I brought in Becca Doughton. And Becca Doughton has been managing that group, but we are very, very tight. We have the smallest amount of resources for the airport that we have. We're probably about 40% down from most airports that are similar in size. And so that Mary Grady position has been vacant for around 9 months. And so Becca and 4 other people and a couple admin staff have been doing all of that work and been spread pretty thin. And so we need to, like, our goal is to answer your first question, when we're looking at the talent pool, what we have to really do is look at other airports across the United States, because that's one of our criteria, is that experience. So if we want to look at somebody at Newark or Dallas or Atlanta or in Denver and see if any of those talent pools would be interested to apply for the position.
So we haven't done that recruitment
No.
yet.
We haven't.
This is just essentially to get permission to do that.
Yes, our first step is with you.
Will you consider internally as well as you go through this process?
I'm always a strong fan of that. We just need the capability to be open to look outside. I mean, I'm always looking to promote, to try to promote within, to train people. We actually just promoted somebody who was an assistant public relations specialist to a principal specialist. And she has been there for now 3 years. And I put her on a training track, and she's really developed quite well. And with Paula's support and help, we promoted her, and she's working in the PR department. And she's in her early 30s, and she's developing quite well. We believe in that to make sure that we keep people up, we retain people, we have a good loyalty system within the department.
So any internal candidate that meets the requirements is open to apply, and we will review all applicants equally.
Very good. Mr. Price, anything to add?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, so we will confer with the mayor's recommendations to exempt these 2 positions without objection. Oh, and before we do that, is Gregory Kind present one more time? I suspect this person also doesn't exist and was put down by somebody else, but have to ask. All right, so we will approve that without objection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
And just for the record, Mr. Herman has been disrupting the meeting by engaging in distracting gestures, so just for the record. Item number 2, and still disrupting the meeting by talking.
I'm not leaving, Bubba, because you're making up such lies. I got Hugo Rosser sitting behind me, and he hasn't said shit to me but you. And he
Hey,
can sit here
you're welcome to depart.
the same way you lied about Wayne Spindler, and you make lies about me.
Still disrupting the meeting. Just for the record, didn't ask you to leave, but did point out that you're disrupting the meeting. And item number 2.
Item number 2, CO and city attorney reports and ordinance relative to amending ordinance number 184251 to include and provide salaries for the new non-represented classes of animal care assistant, assistant executive director, cannabis department, executive director, cannabis department, and public safety risk manager.
Good afternoon. Before you is a report to approve an amendment to the existing non-rep ordinance. Specifically, we'd like to provide salaries for the newly created classifications of Executive Director of the Cannabis Department, Assistant Executive Director of the Cannabis Department, Animal Care Assistant, and the Public Safety Risk Manager. All of these salary settings have been approved by the EERC, and we are seeking your approval and to be moved to council for final approval.
Thank you. And how will Animal Services Department use the animal care assistants?
The Animal Care Assistant is a part of the Targeted Local Hire program, or menu, if you will. Animal Services will be hiring people from that program to fill vacant animal care technician positions. And after the 18-month period that was negotiated, those participants would become full city employees, full-time civil servants in the classification of animal care technician.
And how many are going to be hired?
I don't know how many are vacant at this time. I'm not sure if anybody from Animal Services is available to speak on that.
Hi, Tammy Watson, Assistant General Manager for Department of Animal Services. We currently have 5 animal care technician vacancies, and so we're going to try to utilize the targeted local hire program to fill those vacancies.
Well, we appreciate that, and you should pass that along to the department. As far as one of the other positions, Public Safety Risk Manager, are there any performance metrics associated with that position?
The Public Safety Risk Manager position is a fire department specific classification, and it's going to be used. It has specific skills and abilities relative to public safety risk management, and I believe the fire administrator is here to explain a little further.
Hello, Councilman.
Hi.
June Gibson with the Fire Department. The department has done extremely well with respect to liability claim payouts. So if we use the baseline of fiscal year 15-16, where the payouts were approximately $1.3 million, our goal would be to reduce that payout amount by 10%, and I think that's a very realistic and achievable goal.
And that's what this manager would be focusing on.
Right, and one of the distinguishing features of this particular risk manager as opposed to other risk managers in the city is the need to have somebody with a legal background, primarily because of the legal issues that arise within the fire department fairly consistently. So in terms of our recruitment efforts, that's our focus, and one of the priorities obviously is to reduce our liability claim payouts. And I think, that we can achieve that over time.
And will this include looking at workers' comp benefits and workers' comp fraud and all those associated issues as well?
Yes, this position is actually assigned to our medical liaison unit, so the position works very closely with our workers' compensation staff as well as the personnel department workers' compensation division. So whenever there is a workers' compensation issue that arises that would require coordination with the personnel department as well as the city attorney's office, and on occasion, the police department, this person would be responsible for doing the proper follow-up.
Very good. Any other questions? If not, we will approve the CAO's recommendations, the city attorney's report, and the draft ordinance without objection. Then item number 3 and item number 4 will be on consent without objection. Item number 5.
Item 5, CAO report relative to proposed first supplemental agreement to contract number C-125311 with PSI Services to extend the term by 1 year from December 1st, 2014 to November 30th, 2018 for civil service testing and other testing related services.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. Leah Chu from the CAO's office. The Personnel Department is requesting for authority to execute a contract with PSI Services, and what they're asking for is to extend their contract.
Oh, I think your microphone might not be working.
Oh.
Maybe you can share the other one if that one's working.
So good afternoon, Leah Chu from the CAO's office. What you have before you is a supplemental agreement with PSI Services, and the personnel department is requesting for authority to execute this contract. This contract will extend the existing agreement for a 1-year period to become effective until November 30th, 2018, and it's for a no-cost time extension. And PSI Services provides test-related administration on an as-needed basis.
And for which classes were exams developed during the time of this contract? Do you know?
Tina Rodriguez, Personnel Department. A variety of classes. I'm just thinking plumbing inspector, I'm sorry, systems analyst, applications programmer, to name a few.
And do we know how many candidates have taken the exams that were administered by the contractor?
I think it's about 2,000.
Any increase that was noticed during the duration of the contract?
Increase in
In the numbers as it went on, was there more demand or was it pretty steady?
pretty steady.
And the report states that the city doesn't presently have employees that can do the work required in the contract. Are there any plans to eventually replace the contractor with city employees?
Well, actually, what we are using PSI for currently is remote proctoring services, is to basically proctor candidates through an online by video camera, so that candidates can take their test anytime, anywhere, at a location of their choice. So they have a system in place which allows basically either live viewing of the candidates as they're being tested, or recorded and then viewed later by them, audited by them, so that to ensure that they follow protocols, the candidates follow protocols, and that the confidentiality of the exam was kept.
And I assume that's a service that we don't have the technology to replicate in-house currently.
Not currently, however, I mean, we're working on, we have recently purchased a system, a testing platform through our NeoGov system to do a little bit of it ourselves in terms of placing it online, but in terms of proctoring online, we currently don't have that.
And how many of the 70-ish candidates that took the exams were ultimately offered positions by the city?
I don't have that information currently.
It'd be good to know how successful that those efforts have been. So maybe you can get that information to us before this comes to council.
Sure, we'll try.
Mr. Price, any additional?
No, just always want to kind of focus on our targeted local hire initiative, and again, to the extent we can have those candidates as the first round of potential employees, I think we should be trying to do that. So.
Indeed. All right. Well,
Is there a plan to do that now, or?
Currently, the Target Local Hire Program doesn't require any, there's no minimum requirements for these members, so they don't really have to go on and use this system to be able to join with the program.
You think they should?
Probably when they've achieved having their civil service status, and on the time when they're able to apply for a promotion within the city, they could certainly use this program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we will approve the CAO recommendation on this item without objection. Thank you. Item number 6.
Item number 6, CAO to report and Bureau of Engineering report relative to the exemption of one senior architect, class code 7927, position in the Bureau of Engineering to serve as the Americans with Disability Act coordinator for the city's sidewalk repair program. Additionally, subsequent to the release of the agenda, a report was received from the CAO.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Julie Souter with the Bureau of Engineering. So we're here today to request the resolution authority and civil service exemption for one senior architect for the position, or to serve as the ADA coordinator for pedestrians right-of-way for the city's $1.4 billion sidewalk repair program. So the city sidewalk repair program, if you're not familiar with it, was established in response to the Willits settlement. It is a $1.4 billion commitment over the next 30 years. Per the terms of the settlement, an ADA coordinator is required for the program, for the duration of the program, and needs to be hired by June 30th of 2018. The coordinator, also by the terms of the settlement, has some substantial requirements, including a minimum of 3 years in providing ADA services, a substantial experience in evaluating accessibility and code requirements, and must also be a certified architect or professional engineer. We have internally gone out with the recruitment within the city family and have not been able to find anyone who met the required qualifications. Subsequently, we did do an external search for this particular candidate and have identified a limited number of candidates that meet the required qualifications. So we're here today to request the resolution position.
Good afternoon, Roy Cervantes with the City Administrative Officer. The recommendations before you in the CAO report are recommendations 1, to authorize the Senior Architect Resolution Position Authority for from April to June 2018 in the Bureau of Engineering to serve as the ADA coordinator for the Sidewalk Repair Program, and to authorize the Bureau of Engineering to utilize funding already appropriated to the Sidewalk Repair Program to fund the salaries for from April through June 2018. To reiterate the Bureau's point, Section 15 of the Willits versus City of Los Angeles Settlement Agreement lists those requirements as stated for the ADA coordinator pedestrian right-of-way. Year one of the compliance period began on July 1st, 2017, will end in June 30th, 2018. Our office concurs with the recommendations 1 and 3 in the Bureau's original transmittal, which are reflected in the CAO report. And if approved, the request for civil service exemption for the position will be considered in a subsequent transmittal. Happy to answer any questions.
So since this is a 30-year program, will we try to regularize this in the 18-19 budget or sometime shortly thereafter?
Yes, the Bureau has submitted their, as part of their 2018-19 budget proposal to regularize this position, the senior architect position.
Okay. And the settlement specifies that the ADA coordinator should be a certified access specialist within no more than 12 months of his or her hiring date. I understand the applicant pool was significantly restricted by limiting it to folks with those certifications. Will people that aren't certified but are seeking certification be included for consideration for this position?
Yes, and the main point is to have the minimum qualifications of the 3-year of experience in providing these services, as well as substantial experience in the pedestrian right-of-way and ADA code requirements.
And we have several people that fit that bill under the group that you've been recruiting.
Right. Now that we've done an external search for that, we have identified a limited number of people who meet those qualifications.
Okay. Mr. Price, anything to add? All right. Well, without objection, we will approve the CAO recommendation and note and file the BOE report. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 7.
Item 7, Personnel Department and Controller reports relative to creating a special announcement in city employees' payroll statements regarding opportunities for employees to voluntarily register with usblooddonors.org.
Welcome.
Hi. My name is Steven Montagna, and I'm here to represent the Personnel Department. In our report back on this, we indicated that we'd be happy to assist with the promotion of this effort. We view ourselves as being very well situated to help get the information out to the wide range of distribution channels that are available to help us to communicate with employees. So this can include being able to send out citywide emails, being able to encourage other city departments and our labor partners to reach out using the mechanisms that they have to reach out to their membership and to their employees. And then we can also include this information on various forms of communications content that might be where this might be, a good fix, like in anything that might be related to health and safety. And then we also talked here about making the information available and being able to provide the content so that the information could be placed out on public counters at different city facilities.
Can city staff distribute information at city-sponsored blood drives?
Do city staff do that? Is that your...
Do they do it? If not, can they do it?
I don't know, but I would expect that we could.
I would think that would be just a modestly good opportunity to do that. And can departments themselves request distribution of promotional communications?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's, I think every department is different. The sort of the ways that they might communicate with their employees. But if they're given the content to make it easy for them, then it makes it, should make it easy for them to do that.
Great. Mr. Price, any questions? We have a couple speakers from the public. Bill Watkins, to be followed by Tavish McGregor.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Thanks. Western medicine is not health. I'm pushing back on that. I happen to be a Christian Scientist. I'm a faith healing guy. A lot of our budget's going to medical. I know workers' compensation spikes were attributed to 54% medical at the last budget meeting, or I guess it was March 5th. Just beware. We begin to advocate. Government shouldn't advocate something that has a religious connotation or that steps on the toes of a religious entity. I would recommend not advocating for Western medicine. I know this is a new idea. I've written a lot on it, and I've sent stuff for the public record to the secretary of this meeting today because I've written a lot on this, and I can't do it in 1 minute. Please rethink and define for yourself what health is and whether government should be putting this much money into all these health entities, quote unquote. Thanks.
Thank you. Tavish McGregor.
Yes, I'm really pleased. I don't know who this gentleman is, but Tavish McGregor, I'm the Executive Director of USBloodDonors.org.
My name is Stephen Montani. I work with personnel.
Great. I'll get with you afterwards. Anyway, I wanted to say how grateful I am, particularly to you. Is it proper to call you Council Member Koretz? Did I say that?
Hey, I'll take it any way you want.
Okay. Anyways, we seek to engage the 95 to 97% of people who are not already engaged as donors of blood to register as standby donors, or if unwilling or unable to donate blood, to register as one of our social media volunteers to help get the word out in times of shortages of specific blood types. We've found that some things work really exceptionally well, and you probably already have this, but I made a copy for you. I'll leave it here with you when I go. And I was really pleased to hear you talk about other city employee communications. This is the communication that's been approved for the pay stubs, and I don't know if it's already gone out on the pay stubs or not.
And my apologies, but I can only give you 1 minute, same as everybody else. But
anyway, I just wanted to say how grateful I am, and that I'll get with him to make this as effective as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will take this item and approve it, and this approval of the Personnel Department recommendations, and we will note and file the Controller report as well. Thank you very much. Item number 8.
Item 8, Department of Animal Services report relative to the acceptance of a request for $68,000 from the Lita G. Geller Trust.
Hello.
Welcome back.
The bequest from the Lita Geller Trust was submitted to the Department of Animal Services, and the commission approved the request, and we are now requesting that you allow us to receive this contribution and apply it to our Animal Welfare Trust Fund.
So any specific plans for how the donation will be used, or will it just be added to the fund?
It will be added to the fund. There were no specific requirements attached to this request.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, we will approve this item. And the Department of Animal Services Commission report. Thank you. Item number 9.
Item number 9, Department of Animal Services report relative to the acceptance of a donation of $50,000 from the Annenberg Foundation.
And again, I only have the same question. Any specifics that this attached to the money? Any specific plans that you have for it?
No, this donation was also submitted to us unrestricted.
Very good. So we'll approve the Department of Animal Services report for this one as well. Thank you. Item number 10.
Item number 10, continued from October 24, 2017. ITA report in response to motion, Torres-Rodriguez, relative to enhancing the telephone systems currently used by the Department of Animal Services to improve the ability of the residents' ability to request service, and instructing the CEO to report on Department of Animal Services staffing levels assigned to answer calls and log service requests or related matters.
Good morning, council members. I have a brief statement, if you'd like, or I don't know if you
Please.
want to. Okay. My name is Megan Collier, and I'm with the City Administrative Office. I'm also joined with Tammy Watson, the Assistant General Manager of Animal Services. As you know, since the introduction of your motion, Councilmember Koretz, the Animal Services Department has been working with ITA to address long wait times and difficulty with connecting to shelter staff, as had been reported by community members. In October of 2017, ITA reported back to your committee outlining some challenges of the existing Animal Services phone system, as well as some proposed recommendations for moving forward. Also, in October of 2017, ITA worked with the Animal Services Department to remove an option for callers to self-refer within the 311 system to the Animal Services Department. At that time, 311 operators were trained to address basic animal services related questions prior to referring callers to the department. I have some handout with some numbers for you that I can pass out as well. This action resulted in 311 fielding an average of about 1,000 animal services related calls per month. Thank you, Tammy. Of which 75% were addressed by 311 operators. Since November of 2017, an average of 13,600 total calls are referred to the Animal Services 6 shelters each month. Prior to the IVR modification, an average of 19,000 total calls were referred to the shelters a month. So there was a pretty serious reduction. It should be noted that shelters also accept calls beyond these 311 and IVR referrals, as some shelters may have phone numbers that connect people directly to the shelters and bypass those systems. Currently, Animal Services Department and ITA are working together to further improve the IVR system, to implement an option for people calling with animal services related emergencies so they can be connected with the department directly. So that's in progress. Both ITA and Animal Services Department have submitted requests for additional resources in the 2018-19 fiscal year to continue to improve in this area. Councilmember Koretz, your motion also asked the CAO to report back on staffing at the Department of Animal Services, analyze current call load and wait times, and determine if the assigned staffing is adequate to address the workload. Currently, most shelters have between 3 to 4 administrative clerks. There's a total of 22 clerks assigned across the 6 shelters, and they handle phone calls to the department as well as other administrative responsibilities. The department also has currently 8 as-needed administrative clerks that assist with phone calls at shelters, I think, during peak times. The Animal Services Department does not currently use technology to determine wait times or call information beyond what the current IVR system allows. Animal Services Department has requested some additional resources for next year's budget, and that will be discussed during the budget process. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
So I understand that to use the VCC system, that 11 additional employees would be requested. Would these employees be trained just to operate the system, or would they have other duties as well?
The 11 additional employees within Animal Services?
Yes, that's my understanding.
I believe that was a request that the department had. Oh, I'm sorry. That may have been a request that the department discussed, but I don't know that we've made any specific determinations about additional numbers of employees that would be necessary. The department may have, thoughts on how many would be required, though.
I believe that's the number of employees that we requested to staff the call center. So that if we're able to get the funding for the call center, we would have 11 full-time employees answering those 13,000 calls per month.
And that would be their only function?
Primary function, yes.
And when this item was discussed in October, the department explained that efforts were being taken to reduce call volume by increasing use of the 311 website and app. And it sounds like that is the case, and that's been helpful. So do we still need the 11 employees, or was that based on the call volume level before the improvements were made?
I believe it was based on the previous call volume because this reduction just occurred in the last 2 months. So the call volume would have been higher in October. However, we can take a look back to see if we would still need 11 allocated positions, or if we can reduce that amount based on the current numbers.
Yeah, I know personally I'm happy to give you whatever you need as long as it's what you need. But if you
we'll need
if
the
you
11.
really only need if you really only need 8 now, then let's ask for that. Let's take into account the improvements before we move forward with it.
Will do.
And I'll be watching that item at budget too. But that would be great. Glad to hear that things are starting to improve. Mr. Price, anything to add? If not, we will note and file the ITA report. Actually, we do have 2 speakers listed. One who I don't believe is here, but I will ask, Mr. Gregory Kind, and Diana Mendoza. Okay.
Is this one working?
I think, well, try it and see. I lost track now with the move.
Is this working? Okay, great. Okay. I'm just going to read because I don't want to miss anything. So I'm Diana Mendoza from PETA, and we just wanted to urge you guys to act really swiftly on this. We're really happy to hear that emergency options are going to be added, because actually by removing the 311 auto transfer, those people calling with emergencies now actually have to deal with those extended wait times that has been caused by the extra call load that 311 is taking on. So that's vitally important to be handled first and foremost. We also fully support the call center that is in the budget proposal, because at PETA we do continue to still take calls from people who can't get through to Animal Services. And unfortunately, we are being met with hostility from LA Animal Services on these calls, who don't want to take third-party calls, but we wouldn't have to call in these cases if they were answering the phones. So dedicated staff who know how to deal with this would be great. Basically, we urge you to act as quickly as possible. I believe in October it was a 30-day report back, and it's been 5 months. So we just really urge you to act quickly, because we don't want any more animals to have to suffer in the meantime.
Thank you, and we definitely share your concerns, and we've been trying to move this forward expeditiously, so thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and with no further public comment, we will note and file the ITA report without objection, and with no further business, we are adjourned.